Hey there, everybody. Hey there, folks. Welcome to our Fargo Season 5, Episode 1 and 2 reaction and review. Don't you know we got a lot of great stuff to talk about in this video. We're going to introduce you to Dot Lion, Roy Tillman,
Ooh.
Gator. What a weird collection of characters that are a part of this just really great show so far.
Listen, John Hamm, we need to talk about what's going on with those piercings because, it was very specifically shown in the artwork, him pulling his shirt back to show these piercings. What is happening there? That's the real question with with this show. Are those real? Are they not real? We want to know.
Do we? Okay.
I say fake. What do you guys say? Fake or real? What do you think?
Here's the thing with Hamm.
Fake.
He's crazy enough to actually do this. John Hamm is, everybody you just knows him as Don Draper. He's a very interesting guy. He's got a very weird sense of humor. It strikes me that he would go and do something like this. I'm not saying he would wander around with them pierced in real life.
I think that they're going to come into play. They're going to be ripped right. Listen, Roy Tillman, for me, is easily one of the most villainous characters that John Hamm has ever played. You mentioned Don Draper, not a good guy, kind of a villain on Mad Men as well, depending on where you land on that. I just feel like he wasn't that great of a guy. Here, though, ooh, he's just straight evil.
Yeah, it's a great role for him to play. It's meaty, it's twisted, he came right off of the morning show onto this, and it's this role is just, I do have to say though, to use a certain meat metaphor here, since we already talked about John Hamm, I saw way more of John Hamm's rump roast in this episode than I necessarily needed. I will throw that out there.
Yes.
I understand why it was there, though. It is, you are showing that this is a character who is very confident about who he is, that he is always in control, no matter what. We will get more into him. Rest assured. We'll talk a lot more about Dot Lion as well. Before we do go any further here, hit that subscribe button. We will be here throughout all of Fargo Season 5 to take you through the highs and lows, to share some theories, because boy, are there a lot of theories that we can still talk about moving forward, and we don't want you guys to miss any of that. And by subscribing, you really help us to be able to continue to make these videos that we love so much.
Okay, let's talk about Dot. Poor Dot. The storyline this season is really dark. So we have Dot, who's, married to Wayne. They have daughter Scotty. She's at this fall festival board meeting for the school that's gone haywire. She ends up accidentally, tasing this police officer, and she ends up getting brought down to the station. And while she's down there, they actually book her, and her fingerprints go into the system. And you can see how worried she is about this. The reason why is because she's been basically in hiding for 10 years from her husband, Roy Tillman, with his piercings for all this time. And he is a sheriff, which is really even more scary because he definitely... He's running things the way he wants to run things. The FBI is looking into him. He doesn't care. He's been in office for seemingly 25 years or something like that.
Yeah.
His father's father. This has been going on forever that he's been running where he is. And with her fingerprints going into the system, he has found her, and she has been hiding from him because, oh my goodness, that scene with Roy and his daughter and his daughter's husband, who had, raised his hand to her, and he has raised his daughter to be this very submissive wife. You cook, you clean, you take care of your husband. If he's got to get to that point with you, you deserved it, but not at an extreme level. You take no pleasure in it. But if you need to put your wife in line, that's A-okay. So we've learned that has happened to Dot. And Dot was in such a position that she had to actually leave her kids to get away from Roy. Like, it is a very dark storyline.
It is insanely dark, but also I think really well told and really interesting, because when there was sort of all this promotional material coming out for this season, and they had sort of laid the groundwork that Dot was somebody who had like this mysterious past, I was sort of sitting back and thinking, okay, Dot must be like a crime boss or something like that.
Yeah, I thought something too.
And it's nice to be sort of have those expectations thwarted and have basically the sheriff be the worst person on this show, and she's a survivor and basically has just found all of these different ways in order to survive, and it's really fun watching Dot. Like, I had seen Juno Temple in like a tiny amount of stuff before Ted Lasso, but that's really when she kind of became more of a household name. This is a very different role from Kile, who she played over on that show. Like, there's a good sense of humor about her, but also good instincts. One of my favorite scenes in these couple of episodes is when, she's at home and all the invaders come in with the masks. This reminded me a lot of Home Alone in a very, very delightful way.
She is extremely crafty in getting out of situations. And now that we've met her ex-husband, Roy, or I guess still kind of her current, it's hard, it's a murky situation. I understand how and why she's gotten as crafty as she has. And even the person that was sent there by Roy to bring her back alive, Roy just wants her back with him. Old Munch, when he is unable to capture her, goes back to Roy and is like, you didn't tell me that she's basically a lioness. There is no taming her. There is no capturing her. That is like a completely different level than what you told me she actually was. Because, man, she like scorched one guy's face. She like cut Old Munch with a skate in the ear. Like, it was quite a fight.
You go, Dot. You make sure you protect yourself. Like, I love Old Munch. I'm just gonna say that right now. I mean, yes, this character is 90% Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
But I don't care. This is the sort of show that can get away with characters like this that are just so weird. I mean, the name is Old Munch, which is just so ridiculous, but it works because this is the sort of character who Roy Tillman would hire, because he doesn't really have any sort of adherence to the law or any sense of order. He's basically just a hired hand who can go out and do all these sort of things. And I think if you're Roy, you're just like, okay, this person's going to exist regardless of whether or not I'm here. I'm just going to have them be a part of my organization, because then I can at least control them.
Okay, can he though? Because, oh my goodness. So we had the most amazing like shootout at this gas station where we met another officer, Wit, and we saw that she really helped him. Like, he had gotten shot, she helped bandage him up, she really saved his life, and he feels very indebted to her. And again, the craftiness of like, using the ice and, for slipping and for hitting and like all these different things that she was doing. Like, you use the word survivor, and she really is still in that mode of like, she needs to survive, and she wants to survive for her daughter, for her, her new husband, Wayne, for herself. Like, she needs and wants to get through this. So even though she helps Wit and she's able to, get through all this, she's gone. Yeah. And he's just like, who is this mysterious woman that like came and helped me out?
What's great. I mean, he's more wonderful. And more as who's on New Girl, he plays this character, and like, it's just he's a perfect sort of person for Fargo, because he's very funny, but you can also sort of navigate this sort of dramatic world where all of a sudden he's left completely clueless, and understandably so. You have like, this character who comes in, completely manages to save the day to some extent, and you don't understand it. And I think what makes this all the better is that this show is set in these like small communities. Like every season of Fargo is, kind of geographically similar. These are the support sort of places where, quote unquote, nothing is supposed to happen in a spot like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes the chaos so much more unpredictable, because you always have these cops who are just completely unequipped to deal with any of it.
I feel like very early tinfoil
Yeah.
hat theory here that Wit is going to be one of the people that really steps up to help her.
Yeah.
And the other person I think is going to really step up to help her is going to be her new husband, Wayne, who is seemingly just a nice guy that really loves her. And she clearly really loves him too. She comes back. She doesn't say anything. He thinks that she's been taken, which she was, but she's like, nope, just went out for a drive or a walk. I can't remember. Oh, I cut my foot on some glass. Like, everything's fine. Making some pancakes for our daughter. Like, everything is great. Just gonna, secure the house up and everything will just be fine. Yeah. One of the things that I saw with Dot is when she was talking to Wayne, he was really concerned. He's like, listen, I'm going to believe you, but like, it feels like something else is going on here. There was 2 different types of blood. There's like a scorched ski mask on the ground. Oh, I put them too close to the curlers. It's nothing. She looked at him at one point and was just like, you're such a like kind, gentle man. Like, I truly love you. And I think that that's, besides her wanting to survive, I think she truly, truly cares about this person, and he knows it. And that's why, even though we'll get into his mom, Lorraine, and everything going on, I think Wayne is going to be the other person that really steps up for her.
I just think he's in such a difficult position because he's being pulled in a lot of different directions. I think his North Star, kind of as you find out, is just going to be that he cares a lot for Dot. He wants her to be okay. She just wants to go back to normal because she knows, okay, the more that this becomes a story, the more the sheriff's just going to come for me. I don't need any of this. So I just need to, regardless of if I'm tired, I'm bleeding, nothing. I just need to get back to normal. And could I just say this about Wayne? Couldn't he have been played by Matthew Broderick like 10 years ago? Because it's like, this would have been the perfect Broderick role. Nothing against the actor we're getting. It's just that I think he's a very interesting guy. I hope he is, as caring as he seems to be on the surface. And I kind of feel like he is. He's just in a situation where he clearly comes from a lot of money, but he didn't necessarily marry for money. This was like his rebellion. He married because he found somebody who he genuinely cared about. And you've got Lorraine here, who clearly does not like the idea of this at all, and is just gonna find whatever way she can to try to get her nose in this business and cause problems.
Yeah, she's got a giant painting behind her that just says no, which I just died. Yes. But yeah, Lorraine, it's been years that Dot and Wayne have been married. I mean, their daughter's like 8 or 9 years old. Like, it's really interesting how she is just holding on to how much she doesn't like Dot. She doesn't want to give Dot a chance. She thinks Dot is out for something, even though she's been around for almost 10 years, has never asked for money, tried to do anything. Like, nothing has happened in all this time, but Lorraine just doesn't trust her. So when she comes back and she's like, no, there was no abduction. Nothing happened. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it. That Lorraine's like, no, something has happened. So what's the motive? It's got to be money, because Lorraine's motive is money. So she's brought in her lawyer, Danish, who is Dave Foley. Oh my God, I love Dave Foley. I've loved Dave Foley for years. He's one of my all-time favorite comedians. He is so funny. To really dig into this and get information out of Wayne, because man, that scene with Lorraine going and trying to talk to Dot went nowhere.
No, Dot's not going to give this woman anything. Like, Dot has been around Lorraine clearly long enough to know what her get down is. And her get down is, I'm going to try to manipulate you. I'm going to try to persuade you into what I want. And Dot knows, I don't have to give you this. There's nothing that's going to come from this conversation that will benefit me or my relationship with Wayne, so you can just go pound sand. Now, here is where my tinfoil hat theory comes in, and this is a problem for Dot moving forward. it feels pretty clear to me that Lorraine probably has some sort of relationship with Roy Tillman. And this is the only reason I know this. These small towns like this, the people who get in these appointed positions or elected positions or whatever else, people like Roy, they're always funded by the big wigs, the rich people. And it just makes perfect sense that, okay, Lorraine probably has given a lot of money to the Tillman family over the years.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, like they probably have some sort of really close allegiance. And I'm not saying right now that Lorraine is doing everything for the sake of Roy. I don't think they've had that conversation yet, but I think that conversation is coming, and it's going to sort of morph into this position where you've got Dot and Wayne, and maybe we've got a couple of these other cops in here, but then versus basically everyone else.
Yeah, it's such a mix of people that are out to get Dot right now, and really it feels like her only ally is really like Wayne, Whit, which she doesn't really know that he's like this dedicated to her at this point, but he's there for her. I think once he finds out really everything that's happening, because she's told no one, so no one knows that she's in hiding. But I think he'll be there for her. Her daughter obviously be there for her, but yeah, Lorraine's out to get her. Of course, Danish is out to get her because Lorraine's out to get her. We've got Roy. Now, Gator is out there. The son, who's basically just another Roy Tillman, is out there as well, because we had this whole sort of scene with Old Munch where he comes back to Roy and he's like, listen, no, you're going to have, I'm owed more for this. You told me that she was like a timid housewife. You lied. That's not the case. I got to skate to the head. You're going to pay for this. You owe me. And he's like, basically like, take him to the train station if you watch Yellowstone. Yeah. So Gator takes him out. They try to kill him. That doesn't happen. It's Old Munch. He's not going to die.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens. And he gets away. And we end up seeing him at the end of this episode where Gator has gotten a little more information on Dot and kind of where she might be. And he's traveling around with a partner, and they stop at this gas station where the whole thing went down. And the partner gets killed with a knife to the chest and a big note that's like, you owe me. So that's not great for him. Not great for Gator, not great for Roy, but I don't feel bad for you guys.
No, you guys had it coming. Now, we needed something like this to eventually unfold, just to give this show more layers. Because if this is going to be 10 episodes, it can't just be a cat and mouse game between Roy Tillman and Dot. Like, that's probably going to be the forefront of everything. But you're throwing a couple other variables in there, and having somebody like Old Munch who, has a vendetta here. I don't think he necessarily, he what he did in regards to Dot, that was a part of the job. Like, I think he might be just kind of indifferent to that, just like on an ethical level. But now he's got this vendetta. How is he going to go about that? Like, that is really interesting. Okay, we didn't talk enough about this brawl at the start of this episode with this fall festival meeting, because a little bit of story time here, everybody. I grew up in a very, very small town. Wasn't so small by the time I graduated high school, but I grew up in a very small town. And situations like this, maybe they don't happen on this extreme a level, but they do happen where you've got a lot of people who are just kind of bored. They don't really have enough going on. They're overly invested in like these little things. And I have to believe that the words fall festival are very deliberate, because what you use fall festival for 9 times out of 10 is Halloween, but you don't want to say Halloween because people will get mad. Yeah. And so, of course, this would happen at a situation like this. It was so unbelievably believable that there would be some sort of brawl that breaks out, because everybody is just so mad about either you're using the words fall festival, why are you not just calling it Halloween, or I like fall festival, you shut up, no, you shut up. Boom. It's like perfect. I could not imagine a better start to a season of Fargo. I loved it so much.
Yeah, it was good.
It spoke to me. Now, this is a really good start to this season. To me personally, I like the seasons of Fargo that are set in kind of the present a little bit more than the ones that are set in the past. And so I I like where the show is going right now. I like the cast a lot. We'll have to see, obviously, if they stick the landing. But I got a lot of confidence in Noah Hawley. He's not going to let us down.
Yeah. I mean, we also haven't really talked about the Indira character. I mean, she's the detective that's working the case. It was very interesting to see Dot try to spin her nonsense on her, and she was just like, no. Like, she tried it in the car because she arrested Dot. She tried it later when she was trying to be like, oh, yeah, it was nothing. I wasn't abducted. Nothing happened. She's just like, oh, well, I'll just have to check the cameras. And Dot's like, no. And she's like, no, yeah, I'm digging into this. Something is wrong here. I don't know for sure if she's friend or foe yet to Dot. But I think if she ever does find out why Dot is in hiding, she will be friend. But I think she needs to get to that point first.
Yeah, I think she's just in this sort of position where she's clearly not friend to Roy Tillman, or at least I don't believe she's friend to Roy Tillman, but I think she is friend of justice. I think she wants to do things the right way.
Yeah.
She's just not operating with all the information right now, and that's okay.
I think so far this season is one of my favorites. It's only been 2 episodes. Season 1 is my favorite, and I love the movie. And, subsequent seasons have been really good. I mean, Jesse Plemons, oh my God, he's so great. I love him. But this season has started out really, really good. The cast is great. The story is dark, but they do still have Fargo humor in there, which is great. It just feels like there's some really good people to root for.
Yeah, I'm so excited for us to be able to get even more in this as time goes on. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And also be sure to join our Patreon. We got a link in the description below there because we're going to be talking about Fargo live streams every single week. It's a great time. And thank you to our patrons for your support.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And we'll see you here next time.